council is our mother council, because the NBA Warri Branch consists of 3 local governments: the Warri South, the Warri Southwest, and Okpakpor local government councils. But we're so much in partnership, so much in collaboration with the Warri South, and so we see the Warri South as our main council. And so anything whatsoever touching on the council, we want to be here to put our own bit of participation. So first and foremost, I want to and we pray and urge that it should continue like this. Before now, I was the chairman of the Legislative Matters Committee, and we met with the 7th Legislative Arm. So anytime we are doing this like this, please invite us so that we can make our input. But throughout that period, no invitation was sent to us. But today now, although we were not invited, but we saw the notice, I will say, no, let us get crashed and see what we can do. Yes. Now, we came here and we're given these 3 bills. And I think the onus lies on us to point 1 or 2 things. You know, 1 or 2 things that I would think should be included or excluded in the bill that is subject of this public hearing. Now, first and foremost, the section 2 of it, which is the interpretation section, mention was made of as defining revenue. He said it includes taxes, service charges, default fees, fines, surcharges, daily tolls, award cost, etc. Etc. is a very generic. It includes so many things that's not definable, and you don't do that in a bill, the law. You must define what it is, because it is subject to so many interpretations. That is 1. 2, what are the taxes you are concerned here? What are the taxes that are involved here? The local government, there's one speaker who said, not everything is taxable. So what are the taxes that you are talking here? The local government council cannot make regulations or any law as to pay as you earn. Am I communicating?
Yes.
And also company income tax. You can't do that. So the taxes you are referring to here must be well defined in the law, please. Then, in the same interpretation section, you made mention of subcommittees. Revenue committee includes subcommittees. It's an open-ended definition. What are the subcommittees you are referring to here? Is it subcommittee made of boys who go about harassing citizens in Warri South? Again, too, that must also be defined. What are the, he said includes committees, it's too open-ended. So, my own observation here is that subcommittees were not defined. And funny enough, certain roles were ascribed to those subcommittees. And that is in the section 6, subsection F, says supervise all other revenue subcommittees. What do we mean by that? When first and foremost, you did define what your subcommittees are. Then I'll go to issue of payment.
Unit of Warri South Local Government Council. My job here this morning, by the grace of God, is to talk on the proposed bill that we have at hand, one of them. Mine is the proposed procedure for the collection of revenues that is accruable to Warri South Local Government Council and its enforcement. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, I want to start by letting us know what revenue indeed means or entails. I have a brief definition here, so to speak. I will just read it, then I will continue from there. In accounting, revenue is the total amount of income that is generated on sale of goods and services and on other business venture that relates to the primary operation of that business entity. Again, I'll say it is the total majority leader. The reason we are here this morning is for an interaction. He just told us that you cannot shave the hair of somebody if the person is not present. We are here this morning to reason together as regards the 3 bills the legislative arm of the council wants to pass, because whether we know it or not, it pertains to us. So we have to rub minds about them. Firstly, before I proceed further this morning, I want to just borrow one of the legal terms, one of the rules. That our lawyer is here. I just want to call it the rule of the nemo dat quod non habet. What does that tell us? He said nobody can give a better title than the person possessed. Lawyer, am I right? Yes. So if we relate that to Warri South local government, you see that by the grace of God, the chairman, the executive, and the legislative arm, they've been doing their best since they came into power July this year to do the most they can do, given the resources that is at their disposal. What I'm trying to say this morning is that no government can perform or deliver dividends of democracy more than the resources that is available to them.
You are passionate. You have human feelings. We can see the local government visually working everywhere. By the grace of God, I was the transition committee that brought up this current leadership. And what I'm saying right now, I brought it up during the transition. It is not every business that is taxable. Those who are selling pure water and doing all manner of menial things that need to be encouraged, we should do all we can to exempt them. That is one. I'm also glad you began by explaining what revenue is all about. And my little knowledge about economics, it's not every business that is taxable. In fact, there are even the ones that are taxable. If a new investor wants to come into town, that's what we call tax holiday. Now, when you give some of these tax holidays, you enable people to come into your environment to do business. So there should be ease of doing business. Finally,
prohibitions for criminalization of indiscriminate dumping of refuse and waste littering in Warri South. A paper presented by the Executive Chairman of Delta State Waste Management Board and former Chairman of Warri South Local Government Area, Honorable Matthew Mofe Edema, on this day, 20th December 2024, as part of a public hearing on the subject matter by Warri South Legislative Arm. Waste, otherwise called refuse, has been given different definitions by different schools of thought. However, a more common definition is the one that describes waste or refuse as anything or something that is not or no longer useful to the generator and is to be discarded or disposed of. Generally speaking, waste is considered to be anything which poses a significant threat to human health or environment, partly because of the way and manner which it may be disposed of, and partly because the generator stroke holder no longer has the same sense of obligation in relation to it. Waste littering or indiscriminate dumping of waste stroke refuse refers to the very act of disposing or discarding of waste stroke refuse in a carefree or thoughtless manner which could result in the dispersal, scattering or distribution of such waste in public or private spaces not authorized or designated for waste collection. Such as include 1. Throwing of waste in unauthorized places like streets, median curbs, sidewalks, bush paths, parks, waterways, etc. Throwing of waste carelessly out of buildings, vehicles, keke, etc. Refusal to properly dispose of waste in designated containers or receptacles. And 4, giving room for waste accumulation in containers without disposal so can light overflow from containers or thereabouts. The government does it all philosophy of many Nigerians contribute to the domestic waste problems in our country. A careless attitude that permeates the thinking of an average Nigerian, especially those that living in the cities and towns like Warri, is of common knowledge. A menace that can only be effectively corrected through a change of attitude, that is, positive waste management culture. Thus, the population perception of waste management describes the whole process of how the populace or citizens come to know what is going on regarding best practices in waste management.
Or community. Get people from the community, let them do enumeration, you will pay them. Give them the class, different classes. Right now, we cannot contradict the tax formula that we have in the country. If you do the enumeration and you break it down to different categories, you will recognize the levels that will not be taxable. And you will recognize the
providing the procedure for the enforcement and punishment of road traffic violation in Warri South local government. As it says, it's to enable us to drive better on the streets, to observe the road traffic laws. I'm apologizing. I'm not used to this public speaking. Is to the bylaw in this document is to enable us to drive better, to use the road space better, to bring some cleanliness to our street scene. We've had a lot being said about cleanliness on our roads, on our public spaces. Our road is very vital. They are the arteries through which the blood of the society runs. Many congestions happen on the road that are needless. These are caused by double parking. These are caused by people indiscriminately stopping where they shouldn't stop. These are caused by loading and unloading in places where they shouldn't happen. These are caused by people actually exceeding the space for which they should display their goods and services. It appears that if we don't bring all our items inside the store onto the main road, we all believe that our customers will not come to patronize us. The indiscriminate use of the road space, violation of traffic lights, violation of pedestrian crossings. Sometimes it makes me wonder if we actually go through driving instruction when we, before we actually take possession of a car and go behind the wheel. This law, this bylaw, what it's trying to do is to bring some sanity into the use of our roads, our highways. The anchor of it, as you may have seen, we've already started marking parking bays on Depot Road. Some signs have gone up there, and Depot Road is designated as Depot Road Zone A. We are asking people to actually park properly in those marked bays.
For a public hearing under the leadership of Comrade Agbatinero, the chairman of Warri South local government. And we are the councillors. I'm the leader of the legislative arm, Warri South local government. Under the great canopy, I will call it a canopy because it's a great pleasure that the governor of Delta State, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborori, gave us this great platform to represent him in Warri South. And he gave us a great chairman, Comrade Isaac Agbatinero. I think I'll need a round of applause for you also. We are working tirelessly, and you can see, even in our 100 days, you can see the roads, flyovers, even that one at, I think, Ubangwe now. For now, at least most of our women and men will be trying to keep fit now. You can see the beautification of every other places. You see the roads, even the rural areas is touching everywhere. Chairman, we say thank you, and may the good God bless him and the entire Delta State. Long live Delta State.
In the history of our local government legislative arm, such kind of events have not really occurred. But because of the effort of our dynamic leader, the person of Right Honorable Joy Ejimundu, she thought it wise that it's better we come up with events like this so that we engage with the public. I'd like to do a formal introduction of the councillors in the 8th Assembly of the Warri South Legislature.
The major reason why we are here today is for us to talk heart to heart and reason brain to brain on how better we can restructure Warri South local government in terms of traffic, in terms of hygiene, and in terms of our IGRO that will culminate into what the council can actually use to develop the council area. And we'll be looking at 3 bills today. You know, there's an adage in Ichekiri that says there is no harm. If we must make any law as legislators of the local government, we saw the importance of bringing all stakeholders together so that they can be part of the process of making the laws. They must be seated, we also must be seated for us to analyze the law, because it is we that are the inhabitants of the council area that the law will be binding on, part of it. Hence this public hearing. Today is not an occasion where only the speakers that will be speaking on the bills will speak. It's not an occasion where only the councillors will come up here and speak. It's not an occasion where only the master of ceremony will speak. It is an interactive meeting where we need you to look at what we want to do, make necessary input, necessary suggestions. If you give us a very reasonable suggestions on what we have done already, that at the end of the day, the majority of the persons here thinks that place is not worth or does not have merit in the bill, it can be expunged. So you see the essence of this meeting. You don't just have to come, sit down and look at us. 3 bills, more specifically. One will be a bill for a bylaw providing for the procedure for the enforcement and punishment of road traffic violation in Warri South local government area, which aims at ensuring that road traffic violation is eradicated and minimized to the barest minimum within the council area. We cannot do laws. What we will be looking at is a bylaw to prohibit and criminalize the indiscriminate dumping of refuse and waste littering in Warri South local government area of Delta State. And the aim of this and promote public health and safety. You all agree is a bill for a bylaw providing the procedure for collection and enforcement of revenue accruable to Warri South local government council.